Hey, my friend, my name's Adam with Faith Labs, and we do daily devotionals for busy Christians. Today's devotional is titled God's Betting Game with Satan. Let's get into it. So God's having this conversation with Satan, right? And I'm not talking about a metaphorical spiritual warfare kind of thing. I'm talking about an actual conversation. Like Satan shows up to work, probably grabbing some weird celestial coffee, and God literally starts bragging about this guy named Job. Have you seen my guy Job? Seriously, have you seen him? Perfect guy. Loves me, hates evil, rich as hell, great family. Guy's basically winning at life. And Satan just rolls his eyes. Okay, let me back up a second. It gets much weirder. This is Job chapter 1. Most people know Job is the guy who lost everything and he still stayed faithful. Sunday school version, bad things happen to good people, stay strong and trust God. But nobody talks about how it starts, because honestly, how it starts is disturbing. Picture this, there's apparently some kind of heavenly board meeting happening, right? All these sons of God, they show up, probably angels, maybe other divine beings. And Satan just walks in like he belongs there, like he's got a name tag and everything. And God doesn't kick him out. God doesn't say, hey, why is the devil in my meeting? He just starts showing off. So God points at Job and basically says, look at that guy, perfect servant. There's nobody on earth like him. Now, I remember when I first read this, I immediately assumed Satan would argue, maybe say Job's not such a great guy, point out some flaw that he had. But that's not what happened. Satan says something that made me close my Bible and walk around my house for 10 minutes. Yeah, but have you seen his life? Of course he loves you. You've given him everything. Take it away and watch how fast he curses you to your face. And here's the part that still messes with me. God doesn't defend Job. He doesn't say, no, Job would never do this. He says, fine, everything he has is in your hands. Just don't touch him personally. Wait, what? God just handed Job over? Like they're negotiating terms on a contract? And I'm reading this thinking, this is supposed to be the good guy. So Satan walks out of the meeting with permission to destroy Job's life. And he goes straight to work. In one day, Satan takes Job's oxen, donkeys, sheep, camels, servants, and all 10 of his kids. Think about that for a second. Job wakes up the richest guy in the East, and by dinner, he's got nothing. His children are dead. His livelihood is gone, and it's all because God wanted to prove a point to Satan. When the messenger comes to tell Job that his kids are dead, he tears his clothes, he shaves his head, falls on the ground and says, the Lord gave, the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And God's like, see, I told you. But Satan's not done. He comes back to the very next heavenly board meeting, because apparently these things happen regularly. And God brings up Job again, still perfect, still worships me, and you attacked him for no reason. For no reason? God just admitted the whole thing was pointless? But Satan doubles down. Sure, but you didn't let me touch his body. People will endure anything as long as they're healthy. Let me make him sick and watch what happens. And God says, fine, just don't kill him. I remember first going through this, I had to stop reading and think for a minute, because what kind of God agrees to this? So then Satan gives boils, head to toe, painful, disgusting boils. Job sits in ash, scraping his skin with broken pottery. And his wife finally says what everyone's thinking, just curse God and die already. But Job doesn't. Instead, he says, should we accept good from God and not trouble? Then his friends show up, take one look at him, and don't recognize him. They sit in silence for 7 days because he looks that bad. Then they start talking. And for the next 35 chapters, they basically tell Job this is all his fault. He must have sinned. God is just, therefore Job is guilty. Job keeps saying that he's innocent. His friends keep saying he's lying. God stays silent for 35 chapters. Here's what I think's crazy about this story. Satan had to ask permission. He couldn't touch Job without God saying yes. Every horrible thing that happened to Job, it went through God first, which means every horrible thing that happens to you, it's got to go through God first. And I don't know if that makes it better or worse. Because either God is allowing your suffering for reasons that you can't understand, or God is protecting you from suffering that you can't imagine, or maybe both. When God finally shows up at the end, and oh, does he show up? He doesn't explain why he let it happen. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't even acknowledge that Job was right to question it. He just says, "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth?" Which could be looked at two ways, as either the most arrogant response in history or the most honest. Because maybe the difference between us and God isn't just power. Maybe from where God sits, this all makes sense in a way we can't see, we can't even fathom. But that doesn't make it hurt any less. Now Job, he gets his stuff back in the end, double what he lost. New kids, new herds. Everyone says it's a happy ending. But you know what Job never gets back? Those first 10 kids. Yeah, he has 10 more, but if you're a parent, you know that's not how it works. New kids don't replace dead kids. Job lives with that loss forever, and God never explains why it had to happen. Sometimes I wonder if Job ever found out about that conversation, if he ever learned that his suffering started because God was bragging about him to Satan. Would that make it any better, knowing that you were God's favorite? Or would it make it worse, knowing that your pain was part of some point-proving cosmic exercise? I honestly don't know. But what I do know is this: if Satan had to ask permission to mess with you, then God's paying attention, even when it doesn't feel like it, especially when it doesn't feel like it. The question isn't whether God allows suffering. Job proves that he does. The question is whether we trust him anyway, even when it makes no sense, even when your friends think you're lying, even when you're scraping boils with broken pottery, wondering why the God who says he loves you lets this happen. That's what Job did. To be honest, I'm still working on it. Hey friend, again, it's Adam with Faith Labs. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you did make it this far, I would love if you could leave a comment below. Let me know someone's watching it. And if you could share it around with your network, it might reach someone who needs to hear it today. I can't wait to see you on tomorrow's devotional. As always, onward, and God bless you.